Corey Swargas here for Slap News, and we have Darius, the Destroyer, here with us. How you doing, my man?
Feeling great, feeling great.
Awesome, man. I know you have a ton of history in slap fighting. Let's start at the very beginning. How did you get into slap fighting?
Man, my buddy Jesse Raven James, who's actually a slap fighter now, he's 3-0 at Slap Fight Championship. He knew the promoter JT Tilley, and he was starting Slap Fight Championship. So he was like, do you know anybody who would be interested in getting slapped for some money and a free tattoo? And I was 19 years old, wanted a free tattoo, and the money was just on an add-on bonus. So it was in the bar that first night. Ended up sneaking through the back because he ended up actually working security as well. So snuck in through the back at 19 years old and won the gold and took home that tattoo.
Amazing. I mean, it wasn't even that long ago. You're still a young buck in the game for people that don't know. JT Tilley, I'm sure, was a massive influence in your career, and I'm sure he still is to this day. What do you have to say about that guy?
Man, he's he's honestly super super fucking smart, super hilarious, super great to be around, and super business savvy. So anything that I learned from him, any business tricks or anything, it definitely all comes from him. And all props to him for putting everything together for me, and making
Mhm.
making my dreams a reality.
Yeah. Do you feel like you did everything that you could with Slap Fight Championship before making the transition over to Power Slap?
Oh, definitely. I could have faced the bell when we were scheduled to fight if we didn't move over to Power Slap. But he's someone I would have liked to face just before coming over here, just so I can get all my ducks in a row.
Hmm.
But other than that, I mean, I feel like I've accomplished everything there is to be accomplished at Slap Fight Championship, and we were bringing new talent on and bringing more people on as we could. So just if this sport keeps getting bigger and bigger, I hope to be at the top of it.
Hmm. I mean, when Power Slap called, what excited you about that opportunity? I mean, you probably knew that you were going to, face Ron for the
Mhm.
fourth time, as part of the finale when you signed on over a year ago. But what was that excitement level like? What made you motivated and want to make that switch?
Honestly, being such a big MMA fan just is what really drove my excitement for all this. Being a part of the UFC and being, a little side part of everything that's going down.
Hmm.
That part was awesome. And then being, right there with Dana White, talking with Bisping, talking with Dan Haley, talking with Charlie Arnold, like all these people that I've seen, report on the UFC and report on ESPN, and being in that group has been very rewarding and very man, very very surreal, to get this opportunity.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Like, did you think that the resources, the production, the quality that Power Slap was going to bring, was actually how it unfolded, or was it way more than you could have ever expected?
It honestly was a little better than I expected. The camera angles are really good. The slow mo is super
Mhm.
awesome. The giant rig on the arm camera is fucking awesome, and how they just circle the whole entire stage and can get any kind of angle they want and show whatever they want and get the story that they want out. It's very immaculate that they
Mhm.
can have all these angles and all these cameras and all these high tech, gadgets and gizmos all around you.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's definitely next level. They're definitely, raising the quality of production for everybody. In terms of being a coach versus being an actual fighter, which one do you like more?
I definitely like being a fighter more. I get when I had all my guys fighting and everything. I got really antsy because my last
Mhm.
fight, since before this one was back in May of 2022. So I was like, oh man, just watching all my guys fight, getting them trained up. I'm like, damn, I'd be doing all the same stuff if it was for my fight. So it's like I was preparing for a fight for these guys
Mhm.
versus preparing for my own fight. So it made me really antsy to get back in there for sure.
Totally. I mean, you were off from May of 2022 until March of 2023. Like, was
Mhm.
it getting to you? Like, did you have that energy that you wanted to get back up there again, or was it like a well needed break?
At times it was a well-needed break because of personal stuff going on in my life. But slap fight and slap fighting always brought me back to what I want to do, and that's combat sports. I wanted to be a part of something big, something new,
Mhm.
and be a pioneer at something, and this is what that is. So being one of the OGs on this always has pushed me to be better and be better, than the next person above me. So
For sure. Yeah, I mean, you obviously you had the title at Slap Fight Championship. You came over to Power Slap to try and get the title there as well. Has your life changed at all since Power Slap? Since the lights and all the extra attention that UFC and Dana White have been bringing to the sport?
I definitely get recognized a lot more because of Power Slap than I ever did with Slap Fight Championship. But I think I get just as much recognition like back home when I'm out in a big city. I get a whole lot more recognition, but back home it's all the
Mhm.
same. Other than that, Instagram messages, Facebook messages, get a lot of hate, a lot of love. So got to take the good, got to take the bad.
Yeah, totally, totally. Let's talk about Power Slap 1. I mean, you go out there, you're ready to rock and roll,
Mhm.
with a 10-month layoff. I got to ask you, why was the decision to go bare feet? I've heard that you fought barefoot in all of your slap fight championship
Mhm.
matches. Is that accurate?
Yeah, yeah. I actually fought barefoot in all of them. I just feel more grounded. I feel more like I can get more grip to the ground. I know people say
Mhm.
that, the rubber on the shoes will get you more grip and blah, 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 but it's a jujitsu mat.
Mhm.
And I train MMA. I train, jujitsu 4 years, 5 years now. So it's just what I'm most comfortable with. So what I'm just used to, I feel like I can get the most grip, and MMA fighters do it. Jiu-jitsu players do it. Wrestlers. I mean, I guess they use wrestling shoes, but
Mhm.
same difference. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
just feel more grounded and feel like if I do lift my feet, I can definitely feel if I lift my feet because I have all my nerves and everything feel connected to the ground.
totally. So are you going to keep with, the same strategy of going barefoot in the future?
Oh yeah, definitely. Bisping might not like it. Dan Helly might not like it, but I love those
Yeah.
guys. And I didn't tell them before I was going to go barefoot, so it was unexpected for everybody, even
Mhm.
even everybody. I told one person about it, and he actually ended up doing it. The same thing didn't quite work out for
Yeah.
him as well as it worked out for me, but you
Totally.
know,
Crease Archer.
yeah, that's right,
The
that's
game
right.
changer. Yeah, yeah. Good dude, honestly.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Getting up there, finally looking across, you know, the table against Ron. What was going through your mind before the actual referee called you into the box?
Man, I was looking out to the crowd, to be honest. I wasn't even I faced Ron before, so
Hmm.
I knew what I was expecting. So I was kind of just embracing the crowd, embracing the moment, because I who knows if I ever am going to get that kind of moment, to have all those celebrities, have all those people, Dan Bilzerian was there. It kind of sucks. My favorite football player, Max Crosby, he plays for the Raiders. He's a defensive end. He was there
Yeah,
as well,
cool.
and he saw me get knocked out. I looked at him when he was there,
Mhm.
but it is what it is.
Totally, totally. I mean, you kind of gave away the ending all right already, but if people didn't see it, you won the coin toss,
Mhm.
and so you got the strike first. What was your evaluation of that first strike that you threw, on Ron Wolverine?
I gave him a really good hit. I stumbled him back a good and I honestly didn't give him full 100%, maybe like I should have, but I really wanted
Hmm.
to get a kind of a feel for everything that was going around. I didn't come in as quick as I usually do. Um, so I think that was just the kind of thing I was trying to get a feel for everything, and Ron just came out swinging.
Yeah. I mean, your previous match went 27 rounds.
Hmm.
I know there were some fouls within that match. Obviously, that took place. But you guys had a historic match. With this match only being 5 rounds, did it get in your head at all that you had to have a clean match without fouling in case this went to the judge's decision? I think everybody thought that this was going the distance and fouls would play a part into it. Did it play into your head at all that you needed to have a clean match?
Yeah, most definitely. We were told quite a bit beforehand that they were going to be very strict on fouls, that they were going to watch the replay in live time, that if they see any kind of fouls, that they were going to call it. And as we saw from previous fights that happened that night, that didn't quite exactly happen as they said it was going to. So I just kept getting in my head thinking like, all right, well, maybe for my fight, it's going to be a different ref each and every time. You never know how each ref is going to play it. So I still got to play it as clean and as safe as I can. So.
Totally. Were you able to watch any of the undercard and the matches leading up to your fight?
Yeah, they had it had them playing in the back in the warm-up room, but I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to them. I was watching them and then kind of just walking away, watching and kind of just walking away.
Gotcha. I mean, the build up, like, did you feel it was a bigger stage than before? Like, did you have more nerves, anticipation, or was it just the same as it was back at Slap Fight Championship?
I think it was a little bit more nerves because the amount of time that I had to wait to actually compete was way longer than I expected. It only being 3 rounds for most of these guys, I thought the show was going to go way quicker. I thought I was going to get in, get out, have a full 5-round fight and, hopefully get the decision. But, everything seemed to drag on, decently amount of time. So that kind of messed with me being like, I felt ready like 3 or 4 different times before actually ever get in there.
Gotcha. Understood. So then Ron in the first round gets to swing. He swings right on 3. Right before he was about to hit you. Kind of talk through the psychology as he's winding up through each swing.
And I'm just thinking about, keeping my jaw clenched. I'm thinking about, right when he hits me, to move my head, to not take in as much impact as I can. I feel like, being like a boxer, being like Canelo Alvarez is actually the person I took this from. And he does really, really well of rolling with the punches and then coming right back with a counter. So I know I can't come back with a counter in this sport, but rolling with the punches and rolling with the hits is something that I've took from him in boxing itself. So that was kind of the mentality there, is just to end up rolling with that one.
Yeah. Have you seen the slap since, either on social or watched the match back in full?
I feel like I'm the person who's watched it the most, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, what's your honest opinion of Ron's strike?
I think his hands look faster than they've ever looked. I think he's definitely has been working, as hard as he's ever been. I think he definitely took this opportunity and used it to the fullest. He definitely got me on the cheek. I did have some scarring and some, stuff on my carotid artery and shit, but, that's not for me to decide. That's not for him to decide. That's for the judges to decide. And they decided it was a clean hit. So it was a clean hit.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have near the experience as you do, so I'm not going to claim to be the expert. But what I thought was very unique was obviously Ron pushes the pace. He wasn't wasting any time in there. He wasn't taking his 60 seconds. He wanted to, push the pace, recover quick, and keep going. What I thought was uniquely different was that even his his wind up on 1, wind up on 2, he changed the trajectory of his arm placement for the third slap. Was it a surprise at all that he came, what would be an underhand normally became almost like an overhand baseball throw on that third attempt? Did you see that coming? Did it shock you? Did it surprise you? Or was it all so fast and just a blur?
It was definitely really fast. I saw the way it was coming in, but you can't really, when it's coming in, you can't really change your jaw trajectory. If I knew it was going to be in more of an overhand swing, I probably would have changed my chin angle just a little bit. Yeah, and I think that was kind of the demise, my chin being down too low, and he came over the top and just hit me at that right angle. So if I had my chin at a different angle, and maybe it would have gone the full 5 rounds.
Hmm.
But I still think I could have, kept going. I got up, my brain was there, in the videos. I can see me looking directly at Mark in the eyes. I'm just like, nah, I'm good, man. I'm good. But my body functions kind of weren't there. So,
Hmm. Do you remember that aspect, or as soon as you were hit, or is there parts that you don't remember?
oh yeah, I remember, I honestly remember every bit of it.
Interesting.
Um, I was never really out. I was kind of just like, I was stunned and like, oh shit. And then I immediately tried to catch myself from falling back. And then
Hmm.
as I felt myself trying to get up, I felt like, I'm like, oh, why can I not move my body the way I wanted to? Like my brain was all there. It was just the motor functions weren't where they were supposed to be.
Yeah, totally. I mean, watching it back time and time again, I mean, I think you kind of already answered it, but I just want to make sure I get clarification. Like, do you agree with the judges stopping it at that point for the fighter's safety? I mean, I'm sure there's part of you that would have loved to see it go a little bit longer, but, looking back at it, what's kind of your honest feelings in regards to it?
Man, well, for me, I didn't hit my head on the canvas once.
Mm-hmm.
I caught myself like 3 different times from stumbling and hitting the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I think that shows a little bit more cognizance than most fighters usually do. The fact that I was able to stand up on myself and actually, you know, intelligently be able to respond to each and every question. I feel like there really shouldn't be a 10 count in this sport, but it's kind of just already there. I've already
Mm-hmm.
tried multiple times talking with them about it, but it's just that's one of those things where it has to exist.
Yeah.
Um, but
Well, it,
I was definitely up. I was ready to go. I feel like if I was given maybe even 10 more seconds, I would have had everything perfectly fine. I walked off the stage perfectly fine. The doctor checked me out. He said you were perfectly fine. So,
mhm. Well, that's good to hear that that you're doing well. If there wasn't a 10 count, what would you like to see in place of it?
hmm, that's a good question. I never really thought about that. If there was to replace a 10 count, hmm, damn. I don't know, maybe because we do have the full minute timer, but sometimes that minute can be too long to recover, in my opinion, just because, if you get hit really, really crazy hard, and then
Hmm.
after that minute, you're like, all right, I'm good. But then you're still a little bit wobbly. That's probably still not best for the fighter's safety, even after a minute, if you're still wobbly.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
I don't know, maybe like a cognitive test, like some kind of like answer question kind of situation.
gotcha, gotcha. Let me ask you a little bit of a different question then. Obviously, in the beginning of Power Slap, the coin toss was imperative. There was like a 70% knockout rate, for
Mm.
the winner of the coin toss. Obviously, as the season went along, that became less so. But do you think there's potentially an argument to be made, for each striker being able to have one strike in a match? So having a different set of rules in regards to, the competitor that wins the coin toss, that they may not be able to receive a second round blow, but they're still cognitive enough to be able to give a first round strike, and then at that point go to the judge's decision based off of total damage. Do you think there could be something in the sport where at least as long as the fighter is cognitive and safe and can deliver a strike in the first round, that both strikers should be able to at least have one strike?
Yeah, yeah, I think that could be fair, but that could also be the difference between losing a fight and winning a fight. Let's say the fighter that got, rocked and is coming back to deliver his strike, even though he's not getting hit again. Let's
Mm-hmm.
say he delivers that strike, clubs the guy, then gets a knockout. Even though it was a club, maybe he didn't, maybe the ref didn't see it. Maybe because he was so wobbly, he ended up hitting the guy in the temple, hitting the guy in the eye.
Mm-hmm.
There's just no way to say. I
Yeah.
think that if you're cognitive enough to take a strike and deliver a strike, then you should be able to take the strike. I just think that's part of the game, is to also deliver and then take. I think that's a little, like, I see the point in whether, if you can't take a strike and deliver one instead, just take it.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like that's a little bit of sportsmanship also, if the guy wanted to take one also after just delivering such a massive blow. So I could see both ways how it could go.
Gotcha. I mean, I think you know the best. I mean, you probably, I've seen, Power Slap evolve from the very beginning all the way to, Power Slap 1.
Hmm.
How comfortable and confident are you with the athletic commission, the rules that are in place, in terms of the safety for the fighters?
I think it's obvious that safety is number one for the fighters in their eyes. It's, they have a whole lot of rules in place to make sure that the fighter's safety is number one importance. That being said, there's definitely stuff that they need to work on. There's definitely stuff that they need to catch, but it's just a learning curve. It's their first time doing it, and maybe not their very first time, but it's one of their first times doing it, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just something that they're gonna have to work through.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
I
let
mean,
this cat out real quick. Hold on.
no problem, man.
Go on ahead.
There, he's got some
All right.
cats going on. Awesome. You're a cat
Yeah.
person. You're a cat person.
I'm more of a dog person, but yeah, my girl has cats. Yeah.
Okay, okay, awesome, awesome. I was just gonna say, in regards to them having all this technology, being able to use replay, being a coach yourself, do you think they should evolve how they're using the replay, potentially having, implementing a coach's challenge or utilizing instant replay in real time, to get it right? I was there in person. And to be honest with you, with everything that was going on, it was very difficult, to see what was actually unfolding. Watching it back, on the pay-per-view post in the edited, like, to me, you could see, a number of committed fouls that probably should have been called that weren't called, things that were called and had points deducted. Some didn't have points deducted. Like, do you think they can still evolve it in a sense with the technology that's available to them to make it more of a seamless, cohesive product across the board?
Yeah, I definitely think with specific cameras on specific angles, where the strike is landing
Mm-hmm.
exactly, having a good, side profile view of each striker and each striking hand, whether it's going to be left or right or, whatever. I think that's something that they could add like a phantom camera, right on someone's face so that they can make sure they catch each and edge individual shot in slow motion so they can see whether it lands cleanly or not.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it plays a factor of, for me, if I was to get hit right here, like in the orbital bone up here, that probably wouldn't affect me very much. It also depends on the fighter. That might affect, some of the older fighters or some of the younger fighters and some of the less experienced fighters. It might, do them differently in that kind of club.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, he wants to push the pace. Okay, let's push the pace. So if I'm gonna push the pace with this guy and they call it, oh, it's possibly a club, they're gonna look at the review. Well, I don't want them to look at the review. I want to just go ahead, and I took the shot. I don't, it didn't hurt me
Good
none.
call.
So let's keep going. So I think it also depends on the fighter whether they want to be able to keep on going with the shot and
Mm-hmm.
keep calling it the club, or whether or not they can take the club and keep going.
Gotcha. Understood. In your career, where do you go from here? What do you want next?
Man, I want Ron again. I want the Wolverine again. But after the last match, I don't think that that's probably what's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, Dorian Perez is out there. Dwayne Crespo's out there. Who else do we have out there? Matthew Strickland. He got knocked out by Dwayne Crespo, so I don't think
Yeah.
that's going to end up happening.
Yeah.
But obviously, I'd rather have a rematch with Wolverine if that's at all possible. But whoever they give me, I'm ready to go.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, it hasn't been confirmed. Obviously, some rumors that the Bell and Ron will be the next heavyweight match.
Mhm.
But there is some speculation. Ron even said in the post fight press conference that he'd actually like to drop down to 205. So,
Hmm.
who knows what's going to unfold there. Obviously, he comes in, closer to the bottom of the heavyweight category in terms of, his weight allocation. If Dorian Perez is that guy, what do you think about him, and how do you think your skill set stacks up against his?
Oh man, he's definitely a tough guy. I hung out with him quite a bit when this last event, and he's a really really nice guy, really great competitor. Um, I just think my chin's different. I know it's kind of hard for me to say that now after everything just happened. But Wolverine hits different than every single fighter out there, and that's what these people don't understand is Ron the Wolverine Beta will hit you like a fucking Mack truck and then smile in your face like it never happened.
Yeah.
Like he is such a nice, genuine guy about how hard he hits you. There's just no one like him. He's such a good competitor, and there's no one in the world gonna hit me like Ron does. It's just
Hmm.
not gonna happen.
Yeah, I remember in an interview that you did, you said that you've been hitting the head 150 times, and over half of them have been by Ron.
Yeah, it's definitely been quite a few battles with that guy.
Yeah. If, obviously we can't predict the future. I'm sure that you would love to have a fifth opportunity at Ron to reclaim that title back. I mean, you've done pretty much everything you could do in the sport outside of getting that Power Slap heavyweight championship belt. But, everybody here wishes you the absolute very best. Slap News is here to support all the fighters. We're
Definitely.
trying to build a platform that allows the athletes to have a voice, and to grow as professionals. So, can you let everybody know where they can follow you on social media?
Yeah, just go to Darius the Destroyer on Instagram, Darius the Destroyer on Facebook, and I try to post daily. Try to post as much as I can. Just get more daily content about myself. May not be undefeated anymore, but 17-1 ain't too bad.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you.
All right, thank you, man.